Hello, and welcome to the Intel Brief, your daily intelligence briefing on global geopolitics. Today is Friday, 4 October. I'm your host Daniel, the founder of HM Intelligence, and every weekday we bring you not just the news, but the so what from the events and decisions that shape our world. So grab a coffee and get ready to be informed. In today's update, we'll be covering Britain to hand over the sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. Jong Un is threatening South Korea with nuclear weapons. And the EU has green light tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. So firstly, the United Kingdom has agreed to transfer administration of the Chagos Islands, also known as the British Indian Ocean Territory, to Mauritius, following an agreement announced by the UK Foreign Office. The decision comes after the International Court of Justice deemed that the UK's control of the islands is unlawful, urging it to end its administration. The islands, particularly Diego Garcia, host a significant military base used by both the British and American forces, making the agreement crucial for securing the legal status of this strategic facility. The move also aims to address the historical injustices faced by the local people who were forcibly removed from the island to make way for the military base, marking a significant moment in the British post-colonial history. The agreement has been met with various reactions internationally. US President Joe Biden described it as historic, emphasizing its importance for the continued operation of the military facility in the future. Mauritius Prime Minister celebrated the agreement as the completion of decolonization for Mauritius, though it does not permit the resettlement of the local people on Diego Garcia, keeping the island off limits. The decision has drawn criticism from some conservative lawmakers in the UK, who expressed concerns about the potential strategic implications, including benefits for China due to its trade relations with Mauritius. The strategic importance of Diego Garcia, highlighted by its role in the Cold War and subsequent military campaigns, underscores why this base remains a pivotal point in global military strategy. So what? This seems like a strangely timed and strategically poor move. While the ICC did say that their control of the island was unlawful, leaving in such a rush leaves a vacuum where there could be a loss of strategic control. The key risk here is that when the UK withdraws, it opens the door for China to gain a foothold in the area, significantly reducing the West's ability to project power. And next, North Korean leader Jong Un has escalated tensions with the South Koreans by stating that his country would use nuclear weapons without hesitation should South Korea or its allies threaten North Korea's sovereignty. This threat was made during Kim's visit to a military training base, where he warned that any aggression against North Korea would render Seoul's existence impossible. Kim's remarks were a direct response to South Korea President Yoon Suk's assertion that any nuclear attack by North Korea would lead to the regime's end, with Seoul and the US promising a severe counterattack. The rhetoric exchanged highlights the severe deterioration of inter-Korean relations, with both sides engaging in military posturing and provocation actions. The current state of relations between North Korea and South Korea is described as being one of the lowest points in decades, marked by North Korea's provocative missile tests and South Korea's military drills with the US. North Korea appears poised to legally enshrine a two-state system, thus formally rejecting any hopes for reunification. This move comes in the context of stalled diplomatic talks since 2019 and North Korea's recent display of its nuclear capabilities, including images of uranium enrichment facilities aimed at expanding their nuclear arsenal. Meanwhile, South Korea, covered by the US umbrella, has taken retaliatory measures, such as resuming anti-Pyongyang broadcasts over the border, indicating a cycle of provocation and response that further deepens the divide between the two nations. So what? It seems highly unlikely that despite some positive speeches in the last few months, that relations on the Korean peninsula will improve in the near term. However, it is still highly unlikely that North Korea would look to use nuclear weapons in the first instance, as doing so would be tantamount to suicide. Additionally, while the US-China relations are tense, it is unlikely that China will attempt to rein in North Korea, which would normally be how this kind of situation cooled down. And lastly, the European Union has taken a significant step towards imposing tariffs of up to 35.3% on electric vehicles imported from China, following a year-long investigation into what the EU considers to be unfair subsidies by the Chinese government. This decision, which could potentially lead to a trade war, was supported by several EU countries, including France, Italy, Greece, and Poland, despite opposition from Hungary, Germany, and others. The vote sets the stage for possible implementation of these tariffs from early November, unless China addresses EU's concerns adequately, according to the EU Commission statement. The opposition to tariffs, particularly from Germany, stems from concerns about retaliatory actions impacting their automotive industry, which heavily depends on the Chinese market. German car makers and industries associated with it have voiced fears that escalations into a broader trade conflict, advocating for continued negotiations over immediate tariffs. Meanwhile, China has criticized the move as a protectionist and started probing EU exports such as brandy, dairy, and pork, hinting at potential retaliatory measures. This situation highlights the complex trade relations within the EU and China, balancing between protecting domestic industries and maintaining global trade cooperation. So what? Regardless of if there is a trade war, this is likely a good move for EU car manufacturers and the EU market. For several reasons, it is very hard for Western companies to compete with China when it comes to competition and value products such as this. Outside of cheap labor and resource, Chinese companies generally don't need to worry about the costs of research and development due to their aggressive intelligence collection against corporate companies. This significant advantage allows them to beat Western countries on price, time and time again. Thank you for listening to the Intel Brief, your daily intelligence briefing on global geopolitics, brought to you by HM Intelligence. If you want to support the podcast, tell your friends to help them stay informed and leave us a 5-star review. Or if you want to learn more about intelligence, why not take one of our courses? They're all online, self-paced, and affordable. Thank you for listening. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you next time.